Hello, everybody, and welcome back yet again to the ValCast ISFL. This is episode 3. I'm Valor 77, and then once again, I have Nol with me again.
Yes, sir. Uh, Here to do another mock with you and looking forward to it.
Of course, especially because we're so close to it beginning behind closed doors. I figured it was time to update our mock. And this is going to be the final mock that we are going to produce before the draft occurs.
Yeah, and
And
I know.
please,
Go ahead.
before we get started, I have a few notes here to get some things are. As you can see, the board is up to date. You probably noticed why Arizona does not have pick 14 anymore. They have traded this pick to Osaka. The trade was posted last night. That resulted in them trading pick 14 to get pick 17, and saw pick 28 and 14 go to Osaka in exchange for 17, 32, and 34.
And also a pick next year, I believe.
And a pick next year, if I'm not mistaken. Let me take a look. Yeah. And the thing is, second latest of the S55 round 2 owned by Osaka.
So yeah, so what? Total of 4 picks going to Arizona for the 2 picks that Osaka got. Just for Osaka to move up a couple spots from 17 to 14, but also I think the bigger thing is that they're moving down the pick of the GM pick for Big Man
Obviously, to
Blastoise
move
or
their Big Man
Triceratops.
Blastoise pick because, well, it's pretty obvious, or Arizona seems pretty confident that the guy they want is going to be available then. So we'll see what happens. As you can see, I already got all the GM picks applied. So let's get into it here. So obviously, pick number 1. Now, last time we went with JQ, but I have received some information that may or may not be accurate that he apparently does not want to go to Black Forest. He said he wants to go to one of 3 teams. I'm not going to say which ones, but I would guess it would be some of his former ones, if I was thinking correctly. So something like Arizona or Austin, where he had 2 previous players there. So that kind of changes up who's going to be first overall.
I was going to say that's a big change in the mock, just not taking him first overall. And I know before we came in here, you asked me to take a look at these sheets and give each team's biggest need. Since we're here sitting at number 1, Black Forest, I mean, they need everything, but defense in general is their biggest need. They have a bunch of offensive players in their DSFL. And currently, my thoughts are with only one active player in their secondary, a cornerback or a safety is probably their number 1 need.
Yeah, taking a look at at what I call the big board here. So if we take a look at the quarterback and safety position, you can take a look here and see they are going to take a corner later on with their thing. So something tells me I think Too Sweet goes number 1.
I agree. I think Too Sweet and his safety for Black Forest is probably the position that they need the most. And a good new create. He's been very active in Discord and in the forums. Yeah,
I've
I
fallen
agree
in love with this
completely.
guy. This guy seems like screams first overall pick for a while. I'm like, a lot of people weren't sure, but then after the Q news, I'm like, this guy's definitely first overall.
Yep.
And apparently, I've heard from Yellow Mice saying that if he was going to fall to 9, which is not likely, that they were going to take him. That's something to note later on.
Yeah.
So we go to Black Forest again at pick number 2. I have heard a little birdie say, I think this is where they may throw their surprise pick here. The rumor I'm hearing is that they could go running back here, and it's not who you think it is. The rumor going around is that it's going to be Shawnee here at 2.
That's that's reaching down the board as it sits as far as TPE. I do know Shawnee has some TPE stash though too, or at least that's what
Yeah,
he
take a
always
look.
says. He's a late update.
Shawnee 235 TPE, but it's going to be should be capped as of when the next claim thread drops.
All right,
Which it'll probably happen during our recording, so we'll see what happens. But
right,
any thoughts on this, possibly? Do you think it could be something else? Or, I think you agree.
I'm okay putting a running back there. I don't think I would have put Shawnee just because I think there are a lot of other good new creates and recreates there. But I'm going to trust your sources, and we'll go with Shawnee.
All right. So, Osaka, we have a lot of chain picks here. I got to go to the bathroom, so you can go on with the next few picks. I'll be back.
Sure. All right. So, Osaka, again, going off of their biggest need, I think they have quite a bit of need as well. They're in a similar situation to Black Forest, but I think they are currently a little better off as far as what's in the ISFL. The biggest thing I saw, they only have one defensive lineman in the ISFL at all. There are none in their DSFL. And the one that is there, Sinestro, is a season 49 with 144 TPE. Clearly not a long-term plan there. I know they're going to be taking their GM later in the draft with Big Man Blastoise, but I think adding a second DT here to really enforce that D line is probably what they're going to do. So I'm going to take, and I know he's my positionary rival, but I like Rick going to Osaka here at 3. I think him and Big Man get along really well in the Discord from what I've seen. It's a good fit for both the player and the team. And then like Valor said, we get a second pick right away for Black Forest. And another need they have is probably running back. They don't have a ton in the ISFL right now that's getting a bunch of TP and banking points. Rushmore is a season 52 at 420 TPE. That's Hortle's player. So I do think they go running back here with their second pick. And I have no reason not to think that it's not going to be Griff here. I think that between all the players on the board, I really like Griff. He's been very active in Discord and stuff himself. Another new player, I think Osaka is going to grab 2 new creates, both who are very active and both can be big members of that team for a long time to come. And then moving on to pick 5 and 6, as Honolulu has back-to-back, just like Black Forest and Osaka did. For Honolulu, I think their 2 biggest needs are either kicker or also defensive lineman. As of right now, their only defensive lineman that is... what do I have here? Sorry. Yeah, so their defensive tackle, Grillis character, Schwartz, only has 555 TP. He's a 46 create. They have a couple good defensive ends in Pizza Man and Havoc for it's NC and Muddy M's characters or players. So I think a DT in the middle of that line could be very good. The other thing is kicker, and because Baker, JDC's player, is retiring, they have Kiki Martin in the DSFL, but he has not updated anything since January 10th. So unless he is just a hidden player in their locker room that's just banking things to link later, they're going to need a kicker. And this is going to probably screw up Valor's board a little bit, but don't see any way that they're not going to go ahead and grab either I'm Jared or Raf here. I'm back and forth between the two because Athena is very, very good with all of her media, but Jared is also everywhere. He's doing the streams and stuff. I could see either one going here. So I think.
All right, back.
Oh, good. You can help me decide here.
All right.
So my thoughts for Honolulu, their two biggest needs is a kicker because their current kicker is retiring and Kiki Martin in their DSFL hasn't updated since January. So they're going to need somebody to play kicker. I'm between Raf and Jared, Athena and Adam Vittori. I think either one could be great here. What are your thoughts between those two?
Based on those ones and based on the way Honolulu is run, I definitely feel like Raph would be a great fit here at this position. I know it'd be pretty early to take a kicker, but knowing that it's probably their biggest need right now, I can understand why.
All right, then we'll put Raph going 5 overall.
Back to Honolulu again at 6.
So, again, just my thoughts, and you can definitely chime in here too. The other thing I think they could use is a defensive tackle. I already put Cowboy Blender, Diggersby to Osaka. But they have two really good defensive ends, and their defensive tackle is a season 46 create that only has 500 TPE. So I just feel like that could be somewhere they could get someone to plug in. Just based on the board,
Probably we would have to slap your player there.
Yeah. If we go DT, the other area that we could potentially look at would be a running back here as well. They do have one in the DSFL, but it's another one. He only did, I don't think he did any activity checks this season. He was a draft from last season, and he's been sitting at 259 TPE the whole time. So he hasn't made any additions. So I think another running back could be good here too.
All right. So I'm looking here, Beavers. I can't rule out myself here possibly because I've had a very good talk with Honolulu. So I'd say I would say Beavers, myself, or your player probably.
Don't forget CK too. He's right there at the top of the board.
CK also in this draft as well. I always forget some of the other players. Yeah, he's in there as well. This is probably the most stacked running back class we've had in the draft in quite a long time.
Yeah.
So, because here's the thing with Honolulu. Their next pick is not until the 3rd round at pick 30. So, this is literally... This is tough.
I think they would have to go running back here. I think at the end of the day, you can survive with a 500 TPE defensive tackle at least for another season until you reload that spot. Running back, you're going to need another guy sooner than later.
Right. So which running back do we think we put here?
All right. Just looking at who they have Sunfish is their main one, and he's a receiving back. So just for the positional archetype alone, I like CK here to give them a power back to go with the receiving back.
Yeah, I would do that, or maybe get a speed back. That could be also another receiving option as well. But I would go CK at this pick, in my opinion.
The other running back that is there is a power back. Actually, looking at it, Cinco. He's a season 50 create. So maybe they do go speed back here.
If they go speed back, then the best option would be, I think it would be me, but I'm not sure.
We have.
Because let's face it, I don't want to put myself this high.
We also have Casey. I think Casey's back as a. Yep, Casey is a speed back. Hawk to
Yes, you
bow.
got a couple options at the.
Or what is Beavers? Chicken Lips
Beavers
Randy Beavers is a receiving back.
is another receiving back, so they probably go speed back.
So that's
pretty
probably
much
then.
Casey and myself.
So hey, let's throw Casey there. Just keep ourselves from.
Because the joke of Valor does not want to throw himself out there early because he's trying to be humble as possible.
I'm right there with you. So
Sarasota is a bit of a tricky one as well.
Yep, I agree.
I think they could go running back again because look at their backup situation.
Yep, that was what I had as their biggest position of need for my little pre-talk scout. I even said zigzag step is great, but there is very little depth behind him, and there's nothing in their DSFL. I think running back is the biggest need by far for Sarasota.
Which is weird because that's one of two teams that have not scouted me.
And again, so just based on positional type, archetype, zigzag is a receiving back as well. This is where I think CK ends up.
Yeah, I definitely feel like seeing a run here at running back definitely could work.
4 running backs in the top 7 is nuts.
Yeah, we could see another one here with New York saying that at 8, which is this is their own pick. I have spoken to them pretty recently, and they said their two biggest needs are cornerback and running back.
Yep, and again, my pre-scouting says the same thing. My little note for them: with Daniel retiring to become the quarterback of the future, there is only one running back on the New York roster. In addition to that, their DSFL depth chart has 0 running backs, so I think running back is for sure and target early in the draft.
Yeah, but that's the thing here. Do you want to take somebody like Vega over here, or hope somebody like, let's say, like myself falls down to pick for 12?
I do think with who's behind them that they could potentially pass on a running back here, and also the fact that again this is such a strong running back class, because even sitting right now, you're still there, Beavers is still there. Oh, actually, that's it as far as the top end running backs go. So maybe they go running back here to make sure they get one of you guys. And with who's on their roster, I mean, I think you and Beavers are both receiving backs, or are you a speed back?
I'm a speed back.
Okay, so their current running back is Fangorn's player, and it's a receiving back. So I wouldn't think they'd go back to back receiving backs. I think this is you.
The big question is, do I slap my player here at 8?
I'll slot you there. How about that?
Yeah, I just put myself there. Okay. We got Yellowknife at pick 9. They said their biggest need is safety. They've already told me that I've said to them that I'm open to switching, so I could possibly not rule out possibly me go if New York doesn't take me like 9 or 10. There's a good chance I go at one of those.
So I haven't talked to Yellowknife myself, but I know there are a lot of people who are willing to switch positions in this class, and someone that I've recently heard is very open to switching, has like been championing themselves to switching, is Hills Have Hats. Joshua Hunchak, and he has been earning TPE like crazy. He's already up to 261. I don't even know how he flew by me, but he did.
He probably was thinking a bunch of was either a late joiner or was somebody sitting on a bunch of claims he hadn't done yet.
So I could see him going here as a potential position change. The other thing we could maybe see is if they go corner, because that's another position that they do need.
So yeah, I could see Reno Vega going here, who, in
That
my opinion, Zag being on the board this late, absolute steal for them. I would love for them to take the Zag here.
Yeah,
Also, he also just got hired by Dots pretty recently as well, so that bank account's gonna explode pretty soon for him.
yeah, I'm all right with Zag there. Moving on to Austin, my thoughts from looking at their roster, aside from their top wide receiver, nobody has reached 1,000 TPE yet, and they are all season 47 or earlier. They do have one more receiver in the DSFL, but I think another wide receiver here could help them ensure long-term success. And also, we know from this season, offense has been their biggest weakness. Their defense was strong, but they didn't score very many points.
Right. So taking a look at the wide receivers available, it's a pretty big group once again.
I think the top one on the board is Joe Steele. Recreate. He made Malta Licky Wyalicky.
Yeah. Also kind of sounds like a Honolulu name as well.
It does. But I do think he is probably the best bet to go to Austin here.
Right.
We
So
good
I
with
think
Joe
we should just
Steele
put
then?
him there. Yeah, I put Joe Steele there. All right, pick 11, Colorado.
So
What is their biggest need?
Colorado's roster is interesting to me. They don't have a ton of holes. They got blown out by Baltimore in the last sim, but
37-0, by the way.
yeah, but I don't see a bunch of spots where they need help. My thought was probably a corner or a safety here. Just like some sort of secondary depth. The corner room, they have three guys in there right now, a 48, a 47, and a 46 creates. So I think by the time a corner would get enough TP to get the call up, at least one of those guys, and the season 46 create only has 470 TPE. So as a third corner, I think that's a spot that they would probably be looking. That being said, we took Zag off the board already, so you're dipping down to currently looks like it's currently ranked with 235 TPs.
Four.
Thor.
You got four, who is definitely a great recreate user. You got
Again, just for the need alone, I think that's probably where I would go. What are your thoughts? Like looking at theirs, what do you think they
I was
need?
thinking they go a similar route here at corner. I do not ruling out that this is possibly a trade as well.
I could see that too, where maybe somebody wants to get into the first round or move up some, where Colorado could coop some picks for next season. Just because, like I said, they don't have a ton of holes. They just need to get another year into it and get a little more TPE. But as we're not mocking trades, you want to give them Thor?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
And then back to New York. So assuming they take you at 8, their next biggest need. Oh, maybe either D-line or linebacker. And I know we haven't taken him off the board yet. Is this where JQ goes?
I would say this is a good chance that he goes here, unless Austin potentially snags him at 10. Because I've said it before, the third team might be New York. I'm not exactly sure if it's them, but it's a good guess.
All right. So our usual number one pick is falling all the way to 12 here. But, I mean, incredible value if that happens. Just because Q has not had a player yet that hasn't reached, I think, like 1,200 TP was his floor, which is insane.
Right. So anyway, we go to Black Forest again here. I think they go best available.
Best available as far as TP is concerned would be Tyler Tokesum's Charlie Kelly at linebacker. And again, they need defense, so I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. Then we go back to Osaka again. This was acquired yesterday.
So Osaka, this is, they based on our board so far, they have a defensive tackle, they have a running back. I think maybe linebacker here as well. So you're looking at Oil Man Dan, Laramie Rose, which I think would be another solid pick.
All right. I was thinking him as well, but let's see other options on the board just in case. I would think so.
Okay. So yeah, so let's go ahead and throw Oil Man Dan here to Osaka.
Yeah, let's put him there.
All right. Moving on to Baltimore.
Baltimore 15.
So,
well, I think we know where this is going.
I have a good feeling with Baltimore. I don't think defensive line is necessarily their absolute biggest need, but it's definitely up there as their current DTs. They have one season 44, who's his contract runs up after 46 or 56, and I would imagine that's probably when Caleb Grimm will retire Carter Goad. So between linebacker or DT, I think those are their two biggest needs. And if you're good with it, I think I'll slot myself in here.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I cannot rule out the possibility of a trade up as well.
Oh, I could definitely see that too. But again, we're not doing trades. I think that could be where I end up. I think another option for them would be It's Tim G with Brian Jones. I think that would be another good pick for them.
Right, that's another good option as well. Okay, Cape Town at 16. Now, I've said before that I'm not sliding past this pick if I'm somehow available.
And I do think running back is their biggest need. They have Craig Jr. and Henry as their two current running backs, but Henry was a season 45 create, so he's going to be regressing, and he'll need replaced in the relatively near future. He probably has a few more seasons left. I think he signed through 57, so signed for a bit yet. But I do think running back is still their biggest need. So players on the board at running back, we have Chicken Lips, Randy Beavers, or moving down the board quite a ways, you'd have to actually. That is the end of the running backs because the next running back on the list is at 44, Javon Brisket, and he's went IA. He hasn't been on the boards for a while. So if they want a running back, Beavers is their guy.
Yeah, I would say Beavers is probably their pick.
All right, and Arizona finally getting their first pick. So what I had for my biggest need for them, they currently only have 2 wide receivers on the roster. One of them is going into their 11th season, only has 2 years left on the contract. They have no DSFL depth. I think they almost have to go wide receiver here just to continue what they've been doing.
Right. I was thinking that as well. I could say Ohio one being the pick here.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. It's funny that we have the 2 top quarterbacks still on the board here in the second round, but it's just, and I know we talked about this the last time we did this too. Quarterback is just such a, you need it or you don't, and not a lot of teams need it right now. And the one team that it does is probably New York, is getting ready to replace their guy, but they did a GM pick, so that's going to be replaced by the GM in a few seasons once Pat's player Elijah Dyson gets ready to age out, and even then, I think there's Dyson signed through 59 for New York. So, but for this pick, not to keep rambling on, we'll go to a Sheamus Ohio.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Hang on, dog, going nuts.
That's all right. Our third co-host, Valor's dog. So back to Yellowknife again here at 18. They took a corner at 1, or with their first pick, not 1 overall. And again, safety is probably their biggest need. They could maybe look kicker, as Space Dino is a season 44 create and will likely age out in a couple more seasons. But I think they can also eat some regression with 800 TP and live with that for a bit. Just based on what's on the board and looking at their roster, linebacker might be their next best thing to go with, because I don't see a safety ranked high enough to matter at this pick. So I think we're going to give them It's Tim G at linebacker here at pick 18.
All right. Yeah, because there was a rumor that It's TMG says they expect to go to Arizona, so I wouldn't rule them out at 17, but Orange County, I think I know who they go here. They go Zephyr, I think that's what it's called. They go Zephyr Williams. You want to know why? My sources claim that he's trying to force there.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm good with that pick. My list for Orange County, they're a better team than what they did this year. they have a lot of depth, a lot of places, but wide receiver and O-line are their two biggest needs. So Zephyr makes a ton of sense for them.
All right. Because, yeah, next pick is obviously Black Forest with a GM selection. So.
Yep, so Miss Frizzle goes to Black Forest at 20. And then we're back to Cape Town again. And I had a great conversation with LCC. I think, well, he is definitely under the impression that Cape Town is going to be on the rise and quickly. Looking at their roster, I don't fully disagree. I know they were coming off of a rough season this year, but they don't have a ton of major holes anywhere on the roster. They're just young. They just need to get some extra TPE put in there. So I think they're going to probably end up going best player available. And frankly, he shouldn't fall any more than this anyway. I think they go Hills have hats here. I do think a position change ends up happening just based on stuff that I've seen him talk about and heard him on the other podcasts talk about doing a position change. I think they figure out what their biggest need is, and Hills Have Hats fills it for them.
Okay. So, yeah, I agree with that pick. So, New York is obviously taking their QB in Daniel there, which is their GM. So, let's quickly move on to 23, which is Yellowknife again.
I'll let you take this one because I'm not sure where they even would go here.
Yeah, Yellowknife is a tricky one. They took linebacker. They took his corner. Do they go best player available? I think. Because taking a look, really, the best player available that's not a QB, I would say, is Wesley Orion, I think. Also, Pisley Husk is still on the board if they want to go corner again.
Yeah. Also, I'm Jared still, Adam Vittori. What's their
Jared's
kicker
there if he's able to
situation?
switch.
Space Dino, he's locked in through season 56. I could see Space Dino recreating after the contract because they were a season 44 original. So if Jared doesn't mind sitting in the DSFL for a few seasons, that could be a pick too.
Yeah, I feel like let's put him there with either Jared or I would say Vittori would be on this thing if he's willing to switch.
Yeah. All right. So
I would put him. I'm just gonna put him there based on best available. We go to Austin again at 24. What do you think is their biggest need there after they take wide receiver?
So after a wide receiver, just looking at their room, they're a little older at corner. They do have one in the DSFL, and they do have one younger one, but they have two starters with AJ and Grim Crackers, who are both season 44 creates, and neither one's at 1,000 TPE. So I think corner is probably their next biggest need. Looking at the board, Jeffy is still there with Roranora Zoro. which, again, that's another person I've seen in Discord frequently. There's just so many active players in this draft. Because I would be willing to bet if this was a different draft, Jeffy could easily be a first-round pick, and we're talking about him maybe going 24.
Yeah, I'll put him here as well. Jeffy should not be on the board this slate, but based on circumstances, makes a lot of sense. Hold on.
And then we're back to Colorado again, while Valor's taking care of the pup again. As we touched on before, Colorado does not have a ton of holes. So I think, again, we're looking at probably best player available at this point, and potential position changes aside. What they go with? We had them take 4 in the first round. So with what's left, what they have, I could see them dropping down the board a little bit actually, and grabbing Reno and
They
getting
could go
a.
O-line. Reno is definitely somebody who's definitely could be a good pick.
And I'll be right back.
I also can't rule out CLG Rampage going here as well. Who is Wesley Orion?
So my thing with that, they have a season 50 tight end on the board, or on their team already, in Jacob Feka Okenal. So I don't know if they would go tight end here. But again, they definitely could, because we don't know what people would do as far as position switches. So if you are feeling Orion or CLG Rampage, throw them in there.
I think I'll just throw him on there because I rule out as possible position change. Obviously, Team Money goes here. So we go to Baltimore again at 27.
So this is where I think going just based on potential position changes and stuff, Muford should not be on the board this long. So if you're good with it, I think, again, for similar reasons that we've talked about, yeah, Muford needs to get off the board.
Yeah. Obviously, then we have Triceres player going here. But you would think that would traditionally be the end of the second round. But there was a comp pick this year. It's pretty rare we see comp picks there, but Black Forest usually had suffered a lot of players leaving in free agency.
And with Black
So
Forest,
what do you think we go at 29?
so what they've gone: safety, running back, cornerback, and linebacker so far.
Looking at the board.
Maybe wide receiver?
Possibly. They could go Seymour here.
I think it's either Seymour or Robstein, either one. It's whether they want to go with the recreate or the new create.
Right. I would say Seymour there. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm good with that. All right, so we'll throw
So I think
Seymour
we can
in.
put that here, and I think we'll stop the mock here. So, taking a look compared to I don't have the image of it of the mock last time. A lot of changes.
Here, let me pull up the image. I think you uploaded it to the forum, right?
Yeah, I uploaded it to the forum. I'm gonna go take a screenshot of it, and then I'll send it to your DMs so I can just compare them. So
Okay, so
because this mock here is probably the most interesting one to date, in my opinion.
yeah, I there's definitely been some changes. I'm trying to find it here. All right, so looking at our mock from last time, we had it's definitely changed.
Over the past week, like
oh, come on now. There we go. So looking at our top 10 last time, we had JQ and Villalona at 1 and 2. So we still have Villalona there.
yes,
Which I think is probably a safe pick. We actually had Muford forcing himself to Osaka at 4 overall, and we've
I would
dropped
learn the
him
name of
now.
a meme, so we're
Yep, and we've dropped him now to like late in the second round, giving Osaka Diggersby and Stone, which is Stone is another one we gave them before. Now the orders changed some too.
Since this was recorded before week 14, and this is before the Ultimus.
So 5 and 6. Well, we'll go 5 and 7 for Honolulu. We had the receiver Joe Steele with Wailiki, and we had Zag going to Honolulu. Now we're looking at Raf and Casey. So we've changed positions and players completely for them.
Yes.
Um,
These mocks have shifted greatly compared to. Take a look at pick 8. New York, we originally had Diggersby go here. He's now number 3 on the board. And then we put myself, who was originally at number 10.
For Sarasota, we had Charlie Kelly, Tyler Toksum's linebacker, going to them at 6 last time around. And even though he was still on the board, we sent them a running back this time with CK's player.
Right. Anyway, let's see how much minutes we've been there for. 50 minutes now? So I feel like we need to stall a little more. Anyway,
so we got.
what's your thoughts on this current board? Like, any surprises that you could see happening?
I think there's still quite a bit that can change. I've had good conversations with multiple teams. I've doing that, taking a look at that first round prediction that is for TPE. We're not far off of the top 14 players there. I know that Lemon Poppy posted the current results just a little bit ago, and it's not far off of what we currently have, but there are some differences.
I think this one looks very significantly different compared to the.
So his top 14, or well, I guess it's not his, it's the consensus based on votes as of what time did he post this? About 2:30 this afternoon. So his top, or the consensus top 12 are Opera Phantom, Griff, Zag, Too Sweet, Joe Still, Casey, Cowboy Blender, Tyler Toksum, Sheamus, who we had not going till later in the second round, Hills Have Hats, which is another one we didn't put till later in the second round.
Yeah.
Oilman Dan, myself, which I also went in the second round. Chicken Lips and CK. And another Chicken Lips was another one we just put in the second round.
Yeah, a couple of them because of we don't know if a team values more first gen or recreate. This one is more like have a little bit of insider info.
Yeah. And even there's other people who we have on the outside looking in, and or we have on the board that are getting some votes. Like Jay Reed has 45 votes as of 2:30 to potentially
Jay
go in the
Reed.
first round.
So here's a rumor I have about him. He's another guy that's potentially forcing.
Where did we send him to on this? I believe
do we even have Jay Reed on this board?
I think we sent him. Oh wow! Like that's another.
The big rumor right now is that possibly he could go to 13 because Black Force is the team he's reportedly trying to force to, which is a bit strange, but
yeah, it's just so hard to tell, and we're definitely leaving some people off of this list, off of our first two rounds that could easily be first round picks in other years. Jay Reed being one of them, Pisley being one of them, some coach Spice Gardner. Like some coach, I've seen him in the forums posting a whole bunch of stuff lately.
I can see him possibly being a sneaky late first, possibly, but
so there's definitely like potential for this to be completely and totally wrong.
Yeah. Or if this is one that looks so different, they're like, the GMs are probably like, oh no, this might be accurate.
It's hard to say. And yeah, I'm blown away by the amount of good creates and good players in this draft. Like I know we mocked you 8 to New York, but and even myself, we mocked me at 15. And I know I've said this to people talking before. I could see anywhere from the first 5 or 6 all the way down to 28, 29, 30, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. For any of us.
Yeah, that's my thought here, is that this draft is completely unpredictable.
And I do think trades could happen. I think, there's just a lot of things that could change between now and Friday evening. Hold on, I will be right back.
All right. So we'll see what happens. When he gets back, I'll discuss the bold predictions on which player will go higher than expected and which one is going lower. So my bold prediction going here is if Wrath is willing to switch to something like defense and not kicker, then there's not a reasonable doubt that Wrath probably potentially goes to like possibly number 1 or number 2, depending on the situation, in my opinion. So basically, in my opinion, looking at this board, I do think putting myself at number 8 is pretty high, in my opinion. Now, if I go even higher than that, I'm going to be completely shocked.
Yeah.
All right, he's back in.
Sorry, yeah, I came back. Yeah, that's what I was meaning. Like anywhere, the basically anything after Two Sweet going to Black Forest, I think could be switched. I think Two Sweet is the only one that I feel is 100% locked to go where we picked him. And I mean, they could take him 2 just to have us be wrong, but I think he will go to Black Forest 1 or 2.
Right, in my opinion. It's pretty crazy to think, but I think right now Too Sweet, in my opinion, is also a safe lock for first overall. Mason.
Yeah. But yeah, the other couple things we didn't even get to touch on because they didn't have anything in the first 2 rounds. Biggest needs, San Jose, probably a linebacker is their biggest need. They could also go O-line, but they do have 2 O-linemen in the DSFL, and I don't think they don't pick till
Pick the 4th round. No, looks like pick 33.
Pick 33 in the 3rd, so there's still some players that they could have there.
Yeah, definitely some value.
Like if they do go linebacker, Porg Boy could still be there for them. Or if they go O-line, Reno is still on the board, the top O-lineman in this class. Vlad the Inhaler, another linebacker that could be there for them. And again, like you said, you never know position switches and everything else that could happen. Just all kinds of things that could change and trades and stuff. It's gonna be a wild ride. I'm looking forward to the draft stream whenever it comes out.
Yeah. So anyway, I feel that this is probably going to be the final mock that's probably going to be posted. This board may change a bit depending on the result of the ultimates. Like the only 2 spots that could move are the bottom 2, which is the Hawks and the Arizona picks that were originally theirs.
Which that could be pretty wild too if the Hawks win and Osaka gets to move up an extra spot, so all the way up to 13 instead
Osaka
of
would
14.
move up, instead of moving up 3, they move up 4.
And Black Forest would fall 1.
Yeah.
Which, hey, Black Forest gets to pick twice first at the start
You
of the
literally
round.
get the first 2 picks, so
they couldn't be too upset.
But yeah, anyway, do you have any bold predictions on where do you think you're going to end up? And then I'll say mine for this one.
So, all right, my bold prediction is after my conversation with them, Cape Town jumps up into the first round trading with Colorado, and I go to Cape Town at pick 11.
Cape Town moves up at 11. Now, that could possibly be for me. I'm just giving you a heads up. That could be for me as well. Because I'm saying right now, if Cape Town remains where they are and I'm somehow still on the board, they're taking me at 16. That is not a question. They are going to do that. But if I somehow go higher, I'm feeling very confident that New York at 8 and 12, Austin at 10, Baltimore at 15 seem like the most comfortable ones. Although I did have an extremely good conversation with Honolulu, so I don't rule out possibly me going at 6 or 5. So
Yeah,
really, I just don't know exactly for sure where I'm going.
I've had good conversations. Nobody has been a bad conversation. I'll throw that out there. Like I've walked away from every single one feeling confident that I would be good in that locker room. But a couple that stand out to me, Ice Bear and Honolulu was fantastic. LCC with Cape Town was great. I've talked with two members of the Osaka War Room. The only one I haven't talked with is Big Man Blastoise himself, Triceracop.
Ironic,
Um,
my talk was with Tricera. Honolulu, I spoke with their co-GM. New York, I was talking to Purple Parent. I think that's what his name is. Yellowknife, I've spoken to 3 people. Their GM, Homer Crates. I've spoken to a couple scouts from them. I've spoken with Irish of Black Forest.
yep, I've spoken with Irish as well. I had a good conversation there as well.
Colorado, I spoke
Um,
with Tubby Tim.
Colorado, I actually spoke with our DSFL commissioner. He was my
Huh,
scout. So
interesting.
I spoke with oh, I'm blanking on his name, but I know who he is.
Is it
Uh,
acoustic, I think?
yeah, acoustic. That's the word. So I spoke with him for Colorado. Um, and I tell you what, one of my favorite scouts was Sin from NOLA, but obviously I do not think I'll be going to NOLA.
For NOLA, I actually spoke to Team Money, who was their GM. Another good conversation, and I think one of my best ones, Arizona with Coroni. I highly doubt that I'm available at 17, but they said if I'm open to moving to wide receiver, then they would probably take me in a heartbeat if I'm available.
Yeah. Arizona. Who did I speak with from Arizona? I want to say so Dragon Blaster was Austin. Oh, Arizona. I spoke with Lemon Oppie. That's who I spoke with.
I already spoke with Lemon.
Yep.
Austin, I did speak with him as well, but it wasn't really a scouting combo. It was more about me trying to teach him graphics. The joke about Austin is that they don't really need to scout me anyway because Joe Cortese is there, and he knows me quite well. A long-time former GM.
All right. All
I
right,
think
man.
I'm
Well,
concluded here.
yep, we are good. I once again appreciate the time to talk with you. I like doing this. I uh, thoroughly enjoy doing these mocks. And you know what? Once the season kicks off in full effect again, maybe we can try to do some sort of weekly or bi-weekly recap or something just to keep these things going.
Right, because here's the thing also, it's just important so you can keep yourself financially thing. Like, I highly recommend you go find a league job or something. Like,
Yeah,
I see you starting to get into graphics and stuff because a lot of the gen is this class is trying to get into graphics, which I really enjoy seeing. As
yeah.
for example, like Zag just joined Dots, similar to me, and his swaps are absolutely fantastic. He's in charge of some of the rookie series cards, and they look great. Like I'm in charge of the captain series, so I gotta wait until this upcoming season's captains come out when I start producing those cards. But here's the catch with the new captain series. I'm bringing some news. Once you've been done with captain, you are only allowed one captain card per each team you've played on. If you get selected captain when you're on a different team, we will have to make another card for you.
Interesting.
It's once per career if you stay on the whole if you're a lifer, for example.
Yeah,
So,
that's why I want to go first round. I want to get that first round dots card.
of course, the rookie series cards look pretty nice as well. Although the last time I managed to get a first round one, they botched the swap. Because it was, I hate to say it, it's half-assed. I even called them out saying, you really think this is a, I even looked at it said they said it's not a continued card in circulation, but I said could they have at least the decency to make the full swap? Like, I can do that render no problem. That just hurts my skin to see that. But anyway, enough of my yapping. Thank you guys so much for listening into this podcast. And I will probably be, me and Noel, maybe we'll do a non-recorded live one on the night of the draft. I'm not sure if we're going to be allowed to do it in the main forum or the rookie Discord. Depends. But until we speak again, on behalf of Noel and myself, this is Valor. Thank you for listening into Valor Sports Network. And until we meet again, this is Valor signing off.